My family mocked my $400 gift. So I froze all their accounts and walked away forever. I handed my dad a card with $400 in it. Not a check. Not a gift card. Just 4 crisp $100 bills inside a folded navy blue card that said, "Appreciate everything you've done." He opened it at the dinner table. My mom, my sister Brittany, and my brother Jake were all sitting there, fake smiling like the cameras were on. He took one look at the bills and let out a half chuckle. Only $400? The words dropped like acid in a glass of milk. I felt the oxygen leave the room. Brittany tilted her head, clearly waiting for me to get defensive. I didn't. I just sat there, quiet, watching. My dad continued, "You're working full-time, right? Doing all right? Just thought you'd be a little more generous for Christmas this year." I took a slow breath. "I've paid the rent for this house 12 months straight. You live here too," he snapped. "In the basement. With no heat. No door. And I also pay your car insurance, Mom's prescriptions, and Jake's college Wi-Fi." My mom Karen waved her hand like I was being dramatic. "No one's saying you're not helpful, sweetheart. He just thought you'd do something meaningful," Brittany cut in. She handed Dad her gift next, a $40 candle and a note that said, "Thanks for teaching me how to lead." He smiled like it was a bar of gold. No complaints. No commentary. Just a proud nod. That was the moment. Not the first time they devalued me, not even the 100th. But it was the first time I didn't flinch. The first time I saw them for what they were. That night, I went back down to the basement. The cement floor was cold through my socks. My mattress, directly on the ground. I sat down, opened my laptop, and pulled up a file I'd kept buried for 2 years. I titled it, "Confidential." The ledger inside? Every dollar I'd spent on this family since I moved back in after grad school. Every car payment I covered for Mom. Every missed Venmo Brittany promised to repay. Every bill Jake forgot was due. Every time Dad asked, "You got this one?" I'd logged it all. Not because I planned revenge, but because I wanted to know, was I crazy? Or were they really taking me for a ride? Final total? $71,430.17. That was the moment I stopped asking questions and started preparing answers. The next morning, I woke up to Brittany knocking on the basement beam. "Hey, family breakfast. Be grateful for the free eggs." Free. Funny word. I came up, plate in hand, and sat at the end of the table. No one looked at me. Then Mom cleared her throat. "So, your sister and I had a chat last night, and we think maybe it's time you started thinking about getting your own place." Jake didn't look up from his phone. Dad sipped his coffee like this was weather talk. "We just feel like you're too comfortable down there," Brittany added. "No growth happens when you stay still. I pay the rent. Technically. But this is still our house." I didn't say anything. Not because I agreed. Because I didn't need to anymore. That evening, I boxed up half my things. Clothes. Laptop. Documents. I left the mattress. Left the desk I built. Left the comforter Mom gave me years ago, now covered in pet hair and borrowed without asking. And I left one more thing. A red folder. On the kitchen counter. Labeled in bold black letters. Ledger copy inside. 40 printed pages of line item expenses. Receipts. Bank transfers. Names. Timestamps. I left a sticky note on top. "This is what $400 looks like to me." They didn't call that night. Didn't text. I slept on a friend's couch. First night in years I didn't wake up from stress. The next day, I got a message from Jake. "Mom's crying. You happy now?" I didn't respond. An hour later, another from Brittany. "Wow. You really put Dad's blood pressure through the roof. All over a holiday gift." Still no reply. Then, "Mom, when you're ready to come back and be part of this family, the door is open." There was no apology. No ownership. Just the door. The same one they wanted to push me out of, until they realized I was holding the bills. That night, I did what they never expected. I canceled every auto payment. The house Wi-Fi? Gone. Electric bill? Transferred out of my name. Car insurance? Deleted. Medical card access? Revoked. College loan support for Jake? Terminated. In 4 hours, they went from fully covered to fully exposed. By morning, my mom texted again. Suddenly says card declined. "Did you forget to update it?" I waited 10 minutes. Then wrote back, "No, I didn't forget. I used to think I was the responsible one. The reliable one. The one they leaned on when things got tight, when Brittany missed a payment, when Jake blew through his textbook allowance, when Dad's truck broke down again. But now, sitting on a futon in my buddy Daniel's spare room, I realized something else. I wasn't the reliable one. I was the scapegoat. The silent ATM. The background character in a family that only saw me when something needed to be fixed. I opened the ledger copy on my laptop and scrolled. I'd spent the last 2 years thinking it's temporary. I'll get out soon. I'm just helping until they get back on their feet. But that's the lie. Because they never planned on getting up. They just got better at leaning. Here's what $71,430.17 looked like. 12 months of rent. $1,800 per month split 4 ways. I paid 100% car insurance for both parents. $220 per month cell phones for Jake and Mom. $120 per month medication copays for Dad's diabetes. Average $300 per month groceries for the house. Average $175 per week random extras. Brittany's dentist, Jake's school printing fees, Mom's Metabook, charity donations she couldn't afford but kept making anyway. And not once, not a single time, did anyone say, "Hey, Jack, do you need anything?" The one time I did mention that I was short for my own dental bill, Brittany offered me a loan at 4% interest. I declined, paid out of pocket, then watched her spend $200 on a new light ring and wireless phone tripod so she could film emotional Sunday stories for her 6K followers. The night I moved out, my friend Daniel offered me a beer and a blanket. "Dude, you're too nice." "I was never nice," I said. "Just too tired to fight." What now? Now I build something they can't touch. First, I logged into Sendly, the payment app I'd used to cover household bills. Canceled every automatic transfer. Then I called the utility company and removed my name from the house account. They said I'd been listed as primary holder for 3 years. I asked if anyone else had ever logged in. They said no. I changed my security settings, double authenticated everything, and created a new folder in the ledger. Canceled dependencies. Then I went through my inbox and found emails from Brittany, dating back 2 years, where she begged me to cover just one more thing. "Hey, my card's locked again. Can you float me for the dress? It's just $89. Mom needs help with Dad's copay. I'll send it next week. Promise. You know I'd do it for you." Spoiler, she wouldn't. And she didn't. Then came the kicker. In January of last year, I covered 4 months of rent while Jake was between jobs. Later that spring, I found out through Amanda, our cousin, that Jake was working at a brewery, getting paid under the table. When I confronted him, he laughed. "You're better with money anyway. What's it matter? What's it matter?" 4 months at $1,800, I covered all of it. That's $7,200 just gone. Not borrowed. Not discussed. Not even acknowledged. The deeper I dug, the angrier I got. But not in a rage way. In a focused, surgical way. Because now, it wasn't just about showing them the numbers. It was about cutting them off from the benefits of pretending I didn't matter. I created a doc called History of Access. It tracked who had logins to what. Brittany had access to my streaming services. Mom had my insurance info. Jake knew my Sendly password. Dad still had my emergency credit card by the end of the week. Every password was changed. Every card was locked. And every one of them was left standing in a financial desert they didn't know how to cross. That weekend, Daniel and I watched a movie in the living room. My phone buzzed. "Mom, why did the Wi-Fi stop working?" "Jake has finals this week." I didn't reply. 2 hours later, "Brittany, you turned off my Hulu?" "Real mature, Jack." I typed one word. "Yep." No follow-up. No explanation. Let them sit in the silence they gave me for years. Jake finally called. "Okay, bro, I get it. You're mad. Can you just give me the password for one more week?" Finals are serious. So was my dental infection. "What does that?" asked Brittany. She gave me a 4% loan offer when I needed help. He paused. "Wait, are you keeping score now?" "No. I'm keeping records." Big difference. Click. I didn't feel powerful. I felt clean. Like I'd finally pulled out the 4 and stopped feeding people who'd rather watch me wither than admit I mattered. And the next step was exposure. But not for likes. Not for revenge. For truth. Because if they weren't going to tell the real story, I would. You'd be surprised how careless people get with the truth when they think no one's paying attention. Especially family. Especially when they're used to being listened to, not recorded. I wasn't snooping when I found it. Not really. I was cleaning out my old email, the one I used for family stuff before I moved out. I planned to delete it. Start fresh. But before I did, I searched the inbox for one word. Jack. Over 1,400 results popped up. Most were junk. But buried in a shared folder from 2 years ago, one I barely remembered, was a series of voice memos. Labeled, voicedraft_mom, call notes_Brit, house meeting_June. I clicked play on the first one. My mother's voice. Recorded on her phone. So Jack doesn't know we used his credit card for the insurance this month. Again. But he won't notice. He doesn't look at the statements. Laughter in the background. Brittany. He never pushes back. Honestly, if you weren't family, we'd owe him interest. They laughed again. Mom continued, honestly, I think he likes it. Feeling useful. It's his love language. I stared at the screen. Not angry. Not shocked. Just hollow. Like someone reached inside my chest and rewound every moment of self-doubt I ever had. All those times they told me I was imagining things. That I was too sensitive. That I kept score. That money isn't everything. They've been cashing me in like a paycheck while calling it love. The second file was worse. Call notes _Brit, a recording Brittany made of a phone call with Mom. So if we just tell him the landlord needs proof of income again, he'll sign the lease thing, right? He always does. Just print it. He won't read it. What if he asks questions? Say it's for taxes. Or insurance. Make it sound boring. We still need to forge his initials, though. I'll do it. My handwriting's better. My handwriting's better. That line hit harder than any insult. Because it wasn't just that they took. It's that they rehearsed it. Like a play. Like I was just the prop who didn't need lines. The third file? House meeting _Jim this one. I didn't even remember happening. It was a casual Sunday. I must have been upstairs or out running errands. Dad speaking this time. Jack's smart. But not sharp. He doesn't think like we do. He thinks in bills and numbers, Brittany added. Not people. Exactly. He doesn't see how much we sacrifice emotionally. I mean, Mom said, the house runs better because of him, but he's just not a presence. You know, he's a debit card, not a person. They all laughed. I stopped the audio, stared at the wall. A debit card, not a person. That line? That one stayed. I saved all 3 recordings, converted them to MP3, put them in a new folder, voice evidence, then I made a backup. 2, actually. 1 local, 1 cloud, just in case. Because what I was building now wasn't just a defense. It was a record. The next day, I printed transcripts, formatted them cleanly, labeled each speaker, timestamped. The whole thing read like a courtroom drama, and I knew exactly what to do with it. I called a lawyer, not to sue, yet, but to file a formal affidavit declaring that my signature had been misused without consent on at least 2 occasions. Lease modification, financial authorization for a $15,000 personal loan I never signed for. Yes, that too. I discovered that gem in my credit report the same night I found the audio. A loan, in my name, that I never touched. Taken out last year. Paid back in chunks. Suspiciously timed around the same dates Brittany got new appliances delivered. I asked the credit agency for a full record, filed a fraud report, and froze my credit. Once the lawyer reviewed the audio and document trail, she leaned back and said, "You're sitting on the kind of case that gets people disowned." I already am. Want to press charges? Not yet. I want to give them a chance to own it first. And if they don't, then we go public. She smiled. You came prepared. I had 5 years of prep time. That night, I opened a blank email. Attached the 3 MP3s. Attached the lease scan. Attached the loan paperwork. Wrote a short message. I know. I have proof. This is your chance to come clean before this becomes a headline. I didn't BCC anyone. I sent it directly to Karen Walker, Brittany Walker, Richard Walker, Jake Walker. Subject: final notice before action. They didn't reply that night. Didn't text. Didn't call. But someone tried to access my Sendly account from a new device. Got flagged. IP traced to their house. I logged it. Saved the alert. Filed under desperation attempts. I wasn't scared anymore. I was something else now. Clear. And clarity? That's what people fear most when they've built their control around your confusion. It took 3 days. 3 full days of silence after I sent the email with the files. Then, on Thursday morning, my phone rang. Blocked number. I answered. Jack? It's your mom. Her voice was quiet. Controlled. The kind she used when she was rehearsing a story in her head before saying it out loud. Can we meet somewhere? Why? I just want to talk. I paused. No Brittany. No Dad. Just you. Okay. We agreed on a neutral spot, a coffee shop near the library. Public. No chance for raised voices. No private corners. I brought one thing with me, a flash drive. Labeled, proof. When I walked in, she was already seated. Hair done. Makeup on. Like she was prepping for a church potluck, not an emotional reckoning. She gave me a soft smile. I didn't return it. I sat down. She cleared her throat. First of all, I'm not going to defend what happened. I raised an eyebrow. Good start. But I need you to understand, it wasn't out of malice. It was out of convenience. Which is worse. She nodded, slowly. You've always been reliable. Quiet. I think we got used to it. You didn't get used to it. You counted on it. She didn't argue. I didn't know Brittany recorded those calls. You participated in them. I was venting. You called me a debit card. She winced. I was wrong. I reached into my bag and slid the flash drive across the table. Everything is on there. The files. The paperwork. The audio. You keep a copy. So when this gets worse, and it will, you can't say you were blindsided. She didn't touch it. You're really doing this? Already did. You'd throw away your entire family? No. You did. I just finally picked up the pieces. She blinked hard. We took care of you for so long until I became useful. Then I became invisible. You were never invisible. Then why is the only time I get a text from Brittany when she needs rent help? She's young, she's 32. We sat in silence for a while. Then she whispered, I didn't know about the loan. Dad did. Someone forged my signature. You can't prove that I can. And I did. I leaned forward. But I haven't filed criminal charges. Yet. This meeting? That's the only reason why. So what do you want? I almost laughed. You think I came here to negotiate? Jack, I want nothing. I don't want an apology. I don't want reconciliation. I don't want this fixed. I pointed at the flash drive. I want it remembered. She finally picked up the drive, turned it over in her hands. Looked like it weighed more than a few ounces. You won't come back. It wasn't a question. I shook my head. I'm not leaving. I'm just done. There's a difference. Will you tell your cousins? Grandma, I don't have to. Brittany's TikTok comments already did the job. That hit. She flinched. She's not doing well. The sponsors backed out. That's between her and her followers. She stared down at the table, took a shaky breath, then looked up with tears in her eyes, the kind I'd seen before. When she wanted something. You're going to hate me forever. No, I said. I'm going to forget you. And that's worse. I stood up. This was closure, not kindness. And I walked out. Outside, the air felt sharp but clear, like it had just rained. I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel regret. I felt finished. And after years of being the one they leaned on, the one who could handle it, I finally gave myself permission to stop carrying their weight. That night, I logged into every remaining shared account, deleted my presence, removed my name from every old emergency contact form, even closed a storage locker that held junk they hadn't touched in 5 years, junk they stored under my name. Then I opened a clean document, titled it, Termination of Obligation, typed 3 lines. I am not your backup plan. I am not your safety net. I am not yours anymore. Saved it, then backed it up, not because I needed the file, but because they did. I never planned on telling the world. That wasn't the goal. It was about boundaries, not broadcast. But sometimes, silence gets rewritten by people who lie the loudest. And my family? They were already telling their version. It started with a soft post from Brittany. A photo of her holding the baby, captioned, Family isn't always kind. But you keep smiling. For the kids. One of those vague, passive-aggressive metabook monologues that's just cryptic enough to look innocent. But people knew. The comments rolled in. Ignore the hate, mama. Some people don't value blood. He'll come around. Then came the messages to me. Old classmates. Distant cousins. One girl I hadn't seen since 6th grade. What happened between you and Brittany? She said you abandoned the family. Your mom's been really upset. Everyone's talking. I didn't expect this from you, Jack. They were writing the narrative, turning my escape into their heartbreak. So I opened my laptop, opened the folder, voice evidence, opened the file, confidential, the ledger, and hit record. I didn't shout. I didn't attack. I just spoke. Calm. Straight. One take. 10 minutes. Hi. My name's Jack Walker. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here for clarity. Then I told it. I broke down the timeline. Moving back and after grad school, the rent, I covered the utilities, I paid the Wi-Fi, insurance, groceries, the loan in my name. I never approved the forged lease signature, the audio files. I played one clip. Just one. He's a debit card, not a person. Their words, not mine. Then I ended the video like this. For years, I believed that helping made me valuable, that being useful was love. But now I know, love without respect is just manipulation. I'm not asking you to take sides. I'm just asking you not to believe the version that edits me out. I uploaded it to YouTube. No monetization. No tags. No tricks. Just truth. Title, Why I Left My Family. The real story. 12 hours later, it had 38,000 views. By day 2, over 600,000. The comments weren't just support. They were mirrors. I was the family wallet too. Cried watching this. Finally feel seen. You didn't leave. You survived. Even therapists started stitching the video on social media, calling it a case study in functional financial abuse. It became part of a conversation bigger than me. And it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about giving language to people who didn't have the words. Brittany posted a response. She filmed it from her car. No makeup. Hair messy. Baby seat in the back. It's been hard watching someone twist everything we've been through. I've never claimed to be perfect, but I didn't think it would come to this. She tried to cry. Didn't land. The comments weren't on her side. You called him a debit card. Your mom forged a loan. He paid your bills for 2 years. She turned off comments by noon. Deleted the video by midnight. Mom posted a long wall of text. Classic boomer energy. No paragraphs. Just one emotional slab of guilt and phrases like, "We gave you life. You're tearing apart your bloodline. If you had issues, you should have talked to us privately." Someone replied, "He did." You laughed. She blocked them. Meanwhile, I got offers. Podcasts. Interviews. Sponsorships. One guy even emailed asking if I'd help him build a platform for family accountability stories. I declined them all. I didn't want to be famous for walking away. I wanted to be done. Then came the emails from people who mattered. Amanda, my cousin. Thank you. I thought I was the only one they made feel small. Travis, Brittany's ex. Bro. I watched it 3 times. You just said everything I was too afraid to. Even Jake, my brother, messaged me. Short. You were right. I was too quiet. I let them use you. I didn't know what to say. Still don't. But here's what I do know. Truth echoes louder than manipulation, especially when it's delivered calmly, cleanly, and with proof. I disabled comments on the video after a week. Not because I was hiding, but because the story was told, and I didn't owe them anything else. I didn't feel triumphant. That's the truth. No fist pump. No victory dance. No sudden swell of pride or relief. Just silence. But for the first time in years, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was earned. I took a few days off work. Rented a cabin up north. Left my phone in airplane mode. Just me, a laptop, and a fire that I built myself. I opened up a folder on my desktop labeled Closure. Inside it were PDFs of every bank transaction. They used screenshots of every text they sent me to gaslight me, the audio files, the final legal statements confirming I was clear of debt, loans, and co-signed responsibilities. I selected all. Hit archive. Moved the folder to an encrypted drive. Unplugged it. Slid it into a safe. Not because I needed it, but because they might. And if they ever tried to twist the story again, I'd be ready. Then I did something small. Insignificant, maybe, to most people. I deleted every contact with their last name from my phone. Not just blocked, erased. No backups. No, maybe later. Gone. Next, I shut down my old Sinly account. Closed every streaming login I'd once shared. Even canceled a backup Dropbox account that Mom had once used to store family tax files. I didn't even look at what was in it. If it mattered to them, they should have cared enough to ask. They never did. Then came the last part, social. I posted a single story on my personal Metabook page, the only one I hadn't deleted yet. White background. Black letters. No reconciliation. No apologies. No hate. Just done. Left it up for 24 hours. Then closed the account forever. The messages that came in before I deactivated? Predictable. You'll regret cutting blood out of your life. Family is forever. You're going to die alone. And one more, from Brittany. You win. But this wasn't a game. That's what they never understood. There were no winners here. Just one person who stopped playing. It's been a year now. I moved across the country. Started over. New city. New name on the lease. No emergency contacts. And for the first time in my adult life, my phone only rings with names that don't make my stomach twist. People who don't use guilt as currency. People who don't treat generosity like a contract. People who don't call you selfish because you learned to say no. I still keep the flash drive. Not for vengeance. For remembrance. Because forgetting what they did is how it starts again. Sometimes, someone will ask me about my family. Are you close? And I'll just smile. Used to be. Because people think peace is about holding hands. But sometimes, peace is release. The quiet after the storm where no one's texting you for rent, no one's crying about a phone bill, no one's punishing you for saying, "That's not my job anymore." The last thing I purged? The fear that I'd regret it. I waited for it. Really did. I expected some empty corner of a birthday or holiday to feel cold and bitter. But all I got? Silence. And it was beautiful. Because I wasn't lost. I wasn't angry. I wasn't alone. I was finally free.